My father-in-law is trying to exclude me from my own pregnancy. After being engaged for the last 2 months, I found out that I was pregnant. Because it was unexpected and a very personal thing for me, I decided not to tell anyone but my fiancé until the 2nd trimester. We have now told family and close friends, who have shown nothing but support and excitement for everyone's first grandbaby. I still do not plan on announcing my baby to the world or on social media anytime soon, personal preference. However, last night we told my fiancé's father, and to say him and I don't have the best relationship would be an understatement. For example, whenever my fiancé isn't around, he'll make statements such as, "You have birthing hips," and other commentary about my looks, or mention my fiancé's ex. To top it off, when we got engaged he didn't congratulate us once and instead bragged to his friends and family about how my fiancé just got a new job and graduated from college. Last night we told him I was pregnant and he made the entire subject about himself and my fiancé, saying, "Finally a boy to continue our bloodline. I can't wait to watch him at sports practices, we don't know the gender yet." And the entire time, my FIL talked about how my fiancé is going to be such a great father, not a single congratulations to me. And when his girlfriend mentioned buying baby clothes he would cut her off and say, "Yeah, with what money? My money?" But what really irritated me was the fact he got mad at me for waiting so long to tell him and wanted to know why he couldn't tell everyone about it and share it on Facebook yet, even texting me about it after I left. The entire time we were there he referred to the baby as my fiancé's and told us our lives were over and that we'll resent the kid. But at the same time my Phil wants to watch the child for weeks at a time. He believes he is entitled to be in the room when the baby is born if he wishes to. When I told my Phil I only wanted my fiancé in there, he told me that it wasn't my decision and I needed to include everyone in this experience. Let's just say my fiancé and I have had a long talk since then, and for my sanity, my father-in-law will not be seeing me or the child for a very long time. My parents cost me money. I own a wedding venue. It's an heritage-listed homestead. It's quite beautiful and it's easy to get great photos here. I've also allowed 3 of my cousins to have their weddings here for mates rates prices. So my parents believed that my younger brother was having his wedding here too. However, my brother's new wife wanted to get married at the same place where her parents got married 4 hours away. My parents, who were not invited to the wedding, showed up at my venue and made a huge scene at another lovely couple's wedding. I wasn't there, I was my brother's best man. I left on Friday and came back on Tuesday to this BS. I was so horrified by what they had done I gave back the couple half of what they paid. Luckily the couple was so sweet about the whole thing. Now I'm wondering if I can sue. Edit. My parents are homophobic, misogynistic and racist. Who threatened to unlive my little brother of marriage a POC. My mum says I make no effort. My parents live about 5 hours away from us by car and we have a toddler, 20 months, so as you can imagine, we don't take trips very often because she absolutely loathes long car rides. We drove an hour away last weekend for a family get-together on Esso's side, and we had to make a stop because she was so upset. And yes, we've tried all the things. She just hates being in the car and it's been this way since she was a young baby. Anyway, my mum has been badgering us to come visit them because it's our turn, since they came to us for Easter. I on the other hand just don't want to because we have a lot going on and mostly because traveling with our toddler is really difficult. This turned into a huge argument about how I don't make any effort to see them and that I'm keeping her from our daughter, and that's not the case at all. I then told her that I FaceTime almost every day and sent her numerous pictures and videos on a daily basis, so the whole lack of effort argument is invalid. So of course she brings up the fact that I'm not the only one who has a toddler who hates the car and that I should just suck it up and deal with it. Then the argument took a turn and she started bringing up how I didn't do anything for her for Mother's Day and that I didn't contribute to the group gift my siblings got her. I got her something else but it wasn't enough, and that she was disappointed to see that my name wasn't on their gift. Honestly, at this point I don't even want to fucking go see her because of this bullshit. Why does she act this way? Why the fuck would I want my daughter to have a relationship with someone like this? It's so disheartening. I'll always love my mum, but I'm considering taking a step back from my relationship with her because she clearly doesn't respect me. Trigger warning: violence, self-harming and animal passing. I asked my mum to stop purposely putting me in traumatizing experiences. She's mad now. So I, trans male 16, asked my mum to stop putting me in traumatizing experiences after what happened today. It started last night. Loose dogs snuck into our backyard and attacked our oldest dog. My mum had to go stop these loose dogs and made them run off. That's all I got about the whole situation because I was asleep. All day she's made me care for our hurt dog. Usually I wouldn't mind and I'd do it. But recently we had a dog pass away from old age, and since my mental health is failing due to a lot of things and walking out to see the dead dog, I reluctantly did it. I was crying the whole time and it was hard to look at our dog. Not because I hate her or hate taking care of her, but because I was scared that if I looked I'd see another dead dog, and I can't mentally take this. I recently got out of a mental hospital. She saw me after I cried from bathing her and she said that I shouldn't cry because she's in worse pain from stopping the fight than me seeing the dog injured. I'll admit I cried more after I went into our room. She keeps doing this to me. Every time anything happens I end up having to witness it and help it. So much of this has hurt me and made me end up in the mental hospital 2 times this year. I'll give some examples of this before people start saying I'm being overdramatic. Example 1. My uncle, who was in jail for child abuse, was released because my parents paid for it. He then lived with us for around 5 years. Around those years he's threatened me, threw stuff at me, leave huge messes for me, and at the end choked me. Every time I'd warn her about him I'd get, "There's nothing we can do about it, he was a lot worse in our childhood," or she'd complain about it. I ended up getting choked and spat on by him, causing him to finally get kicked out. Example 2. My mum and dad were really on edge one day. She sent me to my dad to ask him something stupid, I don't remember what about, probably when he's going to help clean. This usually happened. It caused him to yell at me, which then caused her to join in and yell at him. I had to witness and run away from my parents, yelling some at me, some at each other. I was in the middle of it all for no reason. I ended up running to a room and locking myself in it because my dad and mum were getting violent. I feel like each situation could have been stopped. Each situation didn't need me in the middle getting hurt either physically or emotionally or mentally. I feel like if I wasn't dragged in or out into a dangerous situation, I wouldn't have ended up the way I am. There are way more examples I could give, like her making me clean the whole house, and I couldn't keep up with cooking, cleaning, watching my little siblings in school, so we lived in filth and I constantly got in trouble for it. All of it could have been helped if she just thought about it twice, like was it really a smart idea to send me out to help a hurt dog a week or so after I walked out to a dead dog and forced to bury her? So I asked her if she could stop doing this, stop putting NE in these situations. I feel like it's hurting me and I can't take getting so bad I try to commit again and end up in the mental hospital. She just got mad, said that I'm so disrespectful, etc., the usual, and that she had it worse and is not talking to me now. Like she says I can open up to her, and when I do try, when I express how I feel and that some things I mentally can't take, it's this: I'm in the wrong, I'm the bad person, I'm getting the quiet shoulder. And then she's so surprised when I don't want to talk to her and I'm on my phone constantly and won't let her know when I'm so depressed I get thoughts of unaliving myself. It's honestly a cycle. I can't wait leaving once I get enough money to leave and ghost her. How my wife ruined her mum's Mother Day by treating her like a mum. My Mill is an annoying person, to say in the nicest way. She has extremely low self-worth, and she compensates that by forcing the world to go around her. As family who interact with her regularly, we are forced to treat her like a queen, every day, every min. If we don't, then there will be drama, all the way from pouting, going to her room, fainting, leaving the house, to full-blown breakdown, including saying, "Why should I live on this planet anymore if no one cares about me?" Yeah, to see an old lady say she will kill her just because we don't give her few minutes of attention is a bizarre thing to witness. So it's exhausting to be around her, but what else can my wife and Sil do? She is their mum and they both try the darn best to make her feel special. But they would also like to interact with her as their mum too, not just as some out-of-touch loyalty. They would like to crack jokes, chat about general things and share their problems, not having to be constantly worried what statement might tick her off. When they were kids in her orbit, things were fine as she controlled them, and that made her feel she is in the center of attention. Now they are married, have family of their own, and that she is not the anchor of the family, she has started becoming more and more demanding that we perform some elaborate rituals to feel her special. That is extremely exhausting. So to the actual event itself. Mill, FIL have traveled to our country and are staying with us for short time to help us with kids, as we all live halfway across the globe. My wife planned an elaborate Mother's Day event centered around MIL, even though she herself is a mum too. One of that included lunch in a popular ethnic cuisine restaurant. BTW, had she not planned it herself, there will be a snarky comment at the end of day saying, Seems you don't care about your mum enough to plan something for me. I was waiting the whole day for you to do something. Anyway, morning went uneventful as we had been pampering the grown-up toddler and Mill was quite jubilant. We go to the restaurant and I and our elder one go in to set up the table as my wife is bringing the others, Phil and our little one, in. My 2-year-old, the real toddler, decides to throw a tantrum for toddler reasons, but then Mill sees this beautiful garden in front of the restaurant and wants my wife to take her a pic. Mill doesn't care about anything and forces my wife to take several pics as my wife is holding a crying, fussing and kicking toddler in her hip. Having basked in the glory of being in the center of attention, Mill is satisfied enough, they all come in. My wife is ticked from the events but tries her best to be cheerful. Waiter comes in to take the order and right then Mill decides to go to restroom. My wife asks her to order before going, as kids will get hangry if we wait for long. Big mistake my wife did was she asked in a normal tone, a regular conversational tone instead of a pleading or pleasing pampering tone. How dare we order her royalty on what to do, that was strike one. As me and my wife are looking at the bazillion choices and trying to order for kids, ourselves, spice level, etc., we got absorbed into ordering without paying attention to the most important person. Mill wasn't the center of attention for 2 full minutes. How dare we? That's strike 2. We don't notice that and ask her what she wants. She asks if they have a particular ethnic dish, which is a regular staple we have almost every day at home, like a grilled cheese SW, that too in an indifferent meek tone. She was indirectly implying that she just a nobody, cause of strike 1 and 2, so she is ordering some peasant food. That was our cue to realize our mistake, prostrate before her, beg her forgiveness and bring the world back into alignment before things go down the hill. We fail to notice that change in tone, which is strike 3. Instead my wife suggests, "Mum, we have that almost every day at home, so why don't you?" Mill cuts her off saying, "I know that, are you saying I don't know that?" and storms to the restroom. We all are figuring out what the F happened and we finish ordering. Mill comes back and unloads onto my wife how she has disrespected her. We brought her to this country and ever since then my wife has made it her mission to do nothing but continuously humiliate her and Mill starts crying. I quickly realized what had conspired but my innocent wife whose heart is only filled with love and not such evil games doesn't realize drama my Mill wants. Instead she is trying to understand how suggesting that the dish is a regular staple at home is humiliating and Mill goes, "You are implying I'm dumb and don't even know this, you have ruined Mother's Day. All daughters do special things on Mother's Day and here you are ruining mine," and few other delectable quotes. My wife says again and again, "That's just a regular thing to say to your mum," but Mill is adamant that my wife humiliated her by implying she is dumb for not knowing, it's a staple dish we regularly eat at home, and storms off to sit outside. Seriously, that was the entire discussion for full 5 minutes. It was extremely bizarre to see a 60-years woman to throw tantrum and accuse her daughter cause she said, "It's a regular staple we eat at home." Normally we would run after her, apologize and beg her to come back, and keep apologizing throughout the lunch, which is what she wanted after 3 strikes, but this time we were so over this bullshit having been through similar ones many times. We just sat and ate in peace without an extra side of drama. But my wife was heartbroken. She does all this planning, wanted to be a good daughter, wanted her mum to feel special and in the end has ruined Mother's Day by talking to her mum as a mum and not as a royalty. So a 60-years-old woman started crying in the middle of lunch rush in a popular restaurant, all because we didn't give her attention for 5 minutes, while we were busy ordering food for kids. There are hundreds of such stories but this one of the clearest WTF just happened. Share your story in the comments, I would love to add them to a video.